This is our first Zoom discussion. We've been contemplating having this for y'all for a while. And what really helped us pull the trigger is I was actually talking to Patricia. I was happened to talk to her over the phone, and she just kind of brought to light there are so many different topics that people don't discuss online openly to the public, or maybe Instagram or social media is just not the right place to talk about it. And so we kind of wanted to start these intimate group meeting sessions so that people can have a safe space to talk, have a safe space to ask questions. No question is a dumb question, I promise you. We're at all different levels here, and so we just want it to be that kind of space for everyone to build community. But this is a 30-minute call. It's going to be really casual, really open. I encourage everyone to speak. I know for me, sometimes when I join Zoom calls, I get a little shy to kind of speak up because I'm like, oh, my input is not going to be valuable, or I'm a complete newbie, or I'm a complete beginner. That's not it at all. Like I said, we're all different levels here, and so feel free to chime in what you know, because it may help the other next person. It may help another person who's within the call. So it's a safe and respectful place for everyone to just ask and explore. But with that said, why don't we go ahead and start off with some introductions. So obviously, again, I'm Julia. I know it says Julia Gulia. That's my nickname. People like to call me Gulia, but I'm the founder and CEO of the event community. And then we'll head off to Kayla, and then whoever wants to go next can go next.
All right. Hi, guys. My name is Kayla, and I'm the multimedia specialist at the event community. I handle all the social channels. So everything from Instagram to TikTok to YouTube Shorts, I do it all. And yeah, and so I think we were supposed to also have like a fun little question for you guys to
Oh,
answer.
yeah, that's right.
I'll start first and I'll bounce it back to Julia.
Yeah.
But a fun question we have for you guys is if you're planning a dream party, what is one thing, like one element you would for sure have at your party? For me, I'm a really big coffee lover, so it would just be like a coffee bar. All my friends and my boyfriend's like really into coffee too, so it'd be something for everyone to share and enjoy. And yeah, I'll bounce it back to Julia.
Okay, I totally forgot about that question, but if I were to have a dream party, actually it's my dream wedding. I think about this all the time. The only thing I want at my dream wedding is like almost like a night market style with like a bunch of vendors, food vendors where people can go around. I just want it to be like a night market. That's it. But yeah, that's my dream wedding party. But we'll hand it off to who'd like to go next. Don't be shy.
I can go next.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jade. I am from the Collab Space. We're so excited to host the third year anniversary for the event community and excited to meet you all. So we provide basically from meeting space, private office, team suite to all the pops up, personal parties, you name it all. It's all about fun. It's all about building community and connections at Collab Space. So if I have a party, one items that I have to have would be a pineapple cocktail or pineapple mocktail in an actual pineapple. I'm obsessed with pineapple, and I love tropical fruit. That's just one thing that I have to have. Yeah,
I love that.
Sounds so good.
Specifically in a pineapple. That's great.
pineapple. Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, who'd like to go next?
I'll go next.
Go ahead.
My name's Olivia. I started my business. It's called White Olive Events about 2 years ago. Very new to this. I've worked at other places doing events. So when I kind of became to stay at home, I was a little bored. So I thought I'm just going to start doing this. So I stayed home. I don't have a second job or anything. So I do this and I love it. If I was to have anything in my event, it would be what would it be? An awesome bartender with just like really cool mocktails, cocktails, really girly like. So yeah, I would have that. I think that makes the whole atmosphere, whatever you're drinking, you know. So yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So,
All right, who's next?
I can go.
I think I'll go next.
Okay.
Sorry, do you want to go? Was anyone else trying to go?
It's okay. Go ahead. Go, Andrea.
yeah, still going.
Okay. I second the pineapple cocktails. I would add a paleta in it.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
that
especially
sounds good.
now. I'm dying. So I'm glad
Oh,
this is super
you're making me
casual.
thirsty now.
I'm glad this is super casual. Because I have my toddler. I have my mom taking care of my toddler at her house so that I could be here. So I'm glad it's super casual because I'm a mess right now with the heat and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, pineapple cocktails all the way.
Pineapple cocktails.
Yay.
Mhm.
All right.
No.
Hannah.
Okay, so I'm Hannah. I'm the owner of Bonkers for Balloons, and I basically just do anything with balloons. I would say if I could have anything at an event, it'd probably be a chocolate fountain.
Which toppings though? Like what do you want to dip in there?
Like marshmallows and strawberries.
Yeah,
Nice.
strawberries.
Nice. And Patricia.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you so my name is Patty. I'm from Creating with 3 Events, CWT events for short. I started my business as like paper craft stickers like that, and then maybe about 5 years ago, while working full time, I started dipping into like full event planning, and the whole balloon extravaganza began. And then can you repeat the question for me? Because I was in and out of it in the car, so I didn't hear the full question.
It's okay. The question is, if you were to have your dream party, what is the one thing you would have there?
Oh, okay. I'm a foodie, so I don't know. I feel like this is a pickle I get into every time I plan a party. I like a lot of like different foods, so I don't know if I would do like a lot of different types of food or a lot of different types of desserts. Like I don't like just regular vanilla and chocolate. I like something with coffee or something with pistachio or something with raspberry. And for my parties, I'm always like, I want to order that, but then a lot of other people just like regular vanilla and
Yeah.
chocolate. So that kind of becomes a little of a problem because I want to order what I know I would eat, but then
I know. That
by the time
reminds
I
me
get there,
because
I don't even have anything.
I know that reminds me because Danny's Scratch Kitchen, she's going to be doing our ice cream for our 3rd birthday, and she asked me what flavor. I was like, I don't know, these all look good, and I want the one with goat cheese, but I don't think anyone else wants the goat cheese one. That's why I put it on the stories because I like the weird flavors, you know. But you missed our whole intro, Patty. I totally shouted you out. I mean, did you
No,
hear that?
I was listening. I was listening. It's my kids had swim class and they just took forever to get out. So I was logged on and I was listening as I was driving, but I didn't want to have my camera on. But yeah, I was listening to you guys.
All good. But okay, cool. Thank you all for introducing yourselves. I'm so glad that we got to get to know each other a little bit. Today's topic y'all voted for is event design and production, and that's a really, really broad topic, obviously. But I want to get to know why y'all chose this. Were there any specific questions that you had? Any specific topics? We have a couple of questions that we have kind of ready to go. But I kind of wanted to get your input in the beginning so that we can guide the conversation towards something that you want to know, or any specific questions that like y'all had before we get started. So anybody can shout out. Was there anything in regards to event design or production, or anything you just wanted to get to know today that we can write down real quick and then revisit as we like talk? Anything?
I guess is what do most of you start first when it comes to planning an event? Like what is the first, one thing or two things that you always go with first?
Okay. So when it comes to planning an event, what is the first or second step that you do?
Yeah, the core steps that
Okay.
you need to get on before
Okay.
planning anything else.
Sweet. What else?
Maybe it's like a vision, a theme, or something.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's one question. What else? Does anyone have any other questions or any other topics that they'd like to explore?
I think my issue, what I struggle with, I think is time management. And I think that sometimes has to do with it's only me and my husband sometimes. And so he's just more of like an assistant. He still refuses to put his heart into it, you know, like he'll follow my conversation, but he doesn't do it for because he wants to. It's basically just to help me. So I think I struggle more with time management because I'm doing everything myself. So if something has to be done, fixed, rearranged, it's me. I basically use everybody else who's with me as like runners and go-tos and like clean up after me. So they're just picking up whatever I'm throwing on the floor, pushing to the side, clean, you know, stuff like that. So I think my biggest issue is time management and having like structure.
Okay.
Because if it
That's
is
a
just
good
me, I'm everywhere.
Okay. All right. That's perfect. I have that down. Any other questions? Any other topics that we want to explore today?
I'm so sorry. I think I missed that bit. My Wi-Fi, I think there was like a power outage. That's how hot it is. So
Oh
I
my
switched
gosh.
yeah, so I switched over to my phone. So I missed that little bit. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. We were just talking about event design and production. Were there any topics or questions that you wanted to kind of explore today? And we'll visit that.
I think building on what was just said, time management is like, I think key and something that I still struggle to find balance with. I don't know about everyone else, but particularly because now I do have a toddler. She's my one and only, but managing that has been a struggle, especially because I mean, when you work for yourself, you wear all the hats, right? So you're like your owner, your production, your social media, your all of it. And
Yeah,
so it's a lot.
it is a lot. That's a good one. Balancing family and work and life and me, a little bit of everything. That's a good one. Is it Olive or is it Olivia?
Olivia.
Olivia, did you have anything? And Hannah, did you have anything?
I think I'm gonna go ahead and agree with the girls. It's, time management. Some days I can do great, but others, because you have the kids and the husband and the family and the housework. So it's like, but I've been kind of working on, okay, I'm going to allocate, this amount of hours to this, and then this amount of hours to the home, or to the business. And so it's a work in progress, but getting into a schedule and getting into the routine of allocating a certain amount of just to want to say, okay, this is how many hours I want to do on my business, either 8 hours or 6 hours. But sometimes I guess it's depending on where the demand is, if the kids in the home, and if that demand is greater, there's times where like all of last week I didn't work all week because I was just with the kids, or it's summer, so we're out either doing vacation or the pool or whatever, so it's hard. But time management would be the thing.
Okay, I'm hearing time management. I'm hearing time management. Hannah, do you have anything that you wanted to explore today?
I'm just here just to gather information. I don't really plan very many events, but I thought I might as well just hop on the call because there's always something to learn that I can apply to what I do end up doing.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, so I guess we'll get started. That's plenty of great topics that we have, and actually some of the questions we had today are basically related to that, so that's perfect. I guess we'll start out with Jade's question first, because our first question was really similar. Jade was asking, what is kind of like the first and second thing that you do when you get like a client booking, right? How do you come up with ideas, or what resources, what tools do you use? And we'll keep this as an open discussion, whoever wants to go first. But I actually, a little bit of background about myself, because I'll be contributing as well. I used to plan events way back in the day. I was in the event industry for over 7 years, and I used to plan events for Google. So that's what I did before I did the event community. So if I remember correctly, I will chime in my 2 cents about like how I went about planning events and This upcoming event, the event can be Thursday's birthday. I've given that all to Willow and Bloom Events to handle. So I wish she was here to kind of tell y'all how she's going about it, but we'll just start off with that. So to our event planners, or let's start with like Olivia or Patricia, because I know y'all both kind of like do events. I'm not sure how much event planning y'all do, but does that kind of spark anything? What is the first two things that you all do?
For me, the first thing is, just talk a little bit with the client and ask, what is it that you want to see in your event? Can you send me inspirational pictures? That way, I mean, because one thing is them telling you what they want, and then another thing is sending you pictures of what they want. So you could have a whole different perspective of what they want in a vision in your head, and then they might be thinking something else. So inspirational pictures are, I think, my number one thing that totally helps me out. And then just after that is just details, it's colors and, other items of what they want, but inspirational pictures for sure.
Do you use any specific tools or like resources to kind of map out that vision to make your mood boards or?
I don't, and I've been wanting to do the mood boards, and I really love that aspect, but I haven't gotten a chance to do that.
So right now, do you just do it all by hand? Is that what you do?
Yeah. I
Gotcha.
use my Canva, that helps me out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool.
Mhm.
Start with the inspiration. Patricia, do you have something to add?
Normally, so before I start planning, what I do is I go back and forth with the text messages, but mostly when it's like a full event, I have the consultation. I have them send me reference pictures. I keep in mind their budget. So I do most of this before, and then I take my quote and my pictures, and I have a face-to-face consultation. And even in person, we still do the going back with the pictures. So I'll show them the pictures they sent me, and then I'll say, okay, look, this is I do just a lot of it in my head, and it has to do with time management. So after they start telling me from the beginning, from before we have the consultation, when it's just going back and forth with the text messages, I kind of start building just whatever starts coming to mind, whatever I know I have as my own inventory, or what I know maybe other vendors have that I've been wanting to book. So with me, a lot of them have not been specific. It's more of like, oh, something like this. So that gives me the freedom to be like, oh, I remember this vendor had this. I want to use that. Or something that I want to buy, as I use it as an excuse to buy a new item. Then I have the consultation with them. We go back and forth again of like, oh, what do you think of this? Or then it turns into like, we narrow it down to their budget. Like, well, this would be this much and this would be under your budget, stuff like that. Once I see from there, what's gonna be priority as far as like if I was doing an event where it was like a very large dessert table, my first thought would be, I have to find this many dessert vendors. Then it would be like, because to me that's a little bit more difficult. For one, I have to make sure it falls within, I work two different ways, and it's not okay, but when you're like all over the place, this is what happens. So sometimes I pick up on the vibe of how open they are to their budget. So
Okay.
if it's like, hey, you want A, B, and C, like they want the personalized caramel apples. They want, based off what they're telling me, right? Very customized desserts. Then, and I pick up on like, okay, they're willing to spend on it. Then I'm like, okay, well, whoever I find, whoever's available, that's who we're booking. Then there's those conversations that are like, they want something that it's not really for their budget. Then I have to figure out which vendors are more affordable and fall within something that
Gotcha. Yeah, I feel like these are
visually,
steps 3, steps 4.
yeah,
The
visually, like,
first
okay,
2,
that
Jade wants
price
to know
is,
the first 2.
yeah. So then that becomes the difficult part of,
It is.
when you have to stay within the budget, because now it's like this person is more affordable, but they're out of my way. This
Yeah.
person delivers, but their work maybe is not, because a lot of it also falls on you as the planner. It doesn't matter what the client's budget is. When you post those pictures of those desserts that you didn't make, doesn't matter that you tag that vendor. It's still going to be like, why would she hire such and such? And sometimes even the clients will bring their own, and it's totally fine, but a lot of it, sometimes you have to think of how it's going to reflect on you. So it might all look good, and then they decide, I want to do my own, whatever it is. And sometimes when I don't think that it goes even the slightest shade of color, I will not post a picture of that,
Right.
because it just makes you look like, for people who don't know, they're assuming that because you're posting the entire picture that you might have done the whole event, and so now you look like you didn't coordinate the cake to match the cookies. So one looks like a pastel blue and one looks like an aqua blue. I've had that happen, and I'm just like, oh my God. Like, I specifically will ask people, what light blue are you talking about? Are you talking about like the lightest blue? Because even that's a hassle.
Yeah.
Having to find people who understand that there's a difference between white, off-white, ivory, beige. Like, there's people who just will, yeah, I have it, and they show it to you, and you're like, nope, that's not it. Like,
Yeah.
you can just tell. So I go based off the difficulty of that specific order. So if it's the dessert table, then I do the desserts first. If it's the backdrop, then I have to find if it's a specific request, I want this backdrop, then I have to find the person who has it available, the delivery, what time slots they have for delivery, if they can deliver the day before or the day after. So
Gotcha.
for me, that's how I go about it. And again, that's why I sometimes have a problem with the time management portion, because even though I know what to do,
Mhm.
getting to it, when you're the only person,
Yeah.
like, I wish there was an actual, like, timeline. Like, somebody would just throw us a
Do it for
bone and
you.
look, this is what you have
Yeah.
to do in order.
Actually,
Don't
I think how I normally go about planning an event, I start with timelines actually. So once I hear from a client, or again, back when I was planning events, what I would do first, very, very, very first thing that I would do is what you all are saying, get inspiration, mock it up, get an idea of what they want, right? And I'll give myself, again, a certain time to do that. And then after that, once I kind of figure out what they want, the items that they want, and all that stuff, then I map out a timeline, and I use Notion. I know we have a pro member Notion, so we wanted to get people introduced to Notion because Notion is such a good productivity app. And Notion already has a template on there for like projects and sprints and stuff. So all you have to do is like write in what you need to do. Like, let's say I need to paint backdrop. Like, I will write down every single thing that I need to do. Paint backdrop. I need to order this. I need to solidify this. You write dates, and it'll make that timeline for you. So that's how I go about it. Like, first inspiration, second make a timeline, then proceed according to that timeline. And so making time to make a timeline is actually really important in my process in anything that I do. Obviously, I don't plan events anymore, but I do that with all of our campaigns, like all the things that you see. Even for the event community birthday, I think that's like the most relevant right now, since like I am part of the event planning process. I still made my timeline for marketing and stuff. So yeah, Notion is a fantastic tool. All you have to do is click on templates, and then it'll show you like projects, it'll show you sprints, and then you can go about it. I know, Kayla, you use the projects and sprints things too. Do you want to tell them about how you kind of like time manage and stuff?
Yeah, so I definitely use like the templates on Notion. I do it a lot for like our campaigns, like when we were doing in like International Women's Day, and then also our AAPI month heritage for like our community creator stories. And then another time management kind of strategy that I was introduced to by Julia also is like just time blocking. And I think White Olive also like mentioned it earlier, just like allocating time for certain things because there's just so much stuff to do, like in general. And so like you could just do it on a Google Calendar, like from this hour to this hour, I dedicate this time, and then to this specific like activity, and then the next hour. So you could just do like I really liked when White Olive said it's like a work in progress for everything. You know, you can't just get like everything done in like that one
Mm-hmm.
time. Like it's a little bit of everything at once. So it really helps just to get things like moving forward in a very more like effective way. But yeah, like Notion, it definitely is a platform that does take a little time to get used to, but I think once you kind of get the basics down, it like just any organization in general like really helps. Like cuz I'm a very like visual person. I literally need to write everything down from to-do list to like just random thoughts
I
and
see
ideas.
everyone's like,
Yeah, so it's just like, yeah, I just like need things on paper because I literally have a memory of a goldfish too. So it's
Yeah.
just it's very helpful. But yeah, like Notion's a really good like platform. Like I think it like just in general, yeah, like any
Yeah. So even if you don't use like that template, there is another template that's just like a weekly to-do list, which is really nice because if I have a bunch, like I'll start off on Sundays actually. I start off on Sundays and Mondays and I write everything that I need to do. And then what I'll do is I'll move it to the day that I can do it. If I don't get to it that day, then I move it over to the next day. And so I guess we're transitioning into time management now. I have a lot of things to say about time management. I think I first want to say time management, don't be so hard on yourself because it's never going to be perfect. It's always going to be a work in progress, right? You can always be better at time management. Second thing I have to say is I think that entrepreneurs, small business owners, I think we all don't like structure. I think we all I think we are not routine people, which is why we're not in corporate, you know? And so I struggled with that a lot because I, I compare myself to my boyfriend who he's very structured. He drinks coffee at the same time every single day. I'm like, why can't I do that? I can't even drink coffee every day. I get bored of it. Like that's that's how little routine that I like. And so I think you should be self-aware, pay attention to yourself and pay attention to your energy levels, pay attention to the times that you are productive, and schedule your life around what works for you. Because when you're a small business owner, when you're a business owner in general, um, no rules apply. No rules apply. You make your own rules. And so what I did is I took inspiration from other small business owners. I know some business owners, they have Mondays set as entrepreneur days, right? Monday is only entrepreneur day, so that means they take care of all their bookkeeping, they take care of like emails, whatever, all that stuff, only Mondays. And then the rest of the days they switch it out for whatever task they want to do. Like some people have like days for only content creation only. They knock it out in one day, and that way they have it set for the whole month. That way they don't have to think about it again. Things like that. That doesn't work for me. What does work for me is I kind of go like this. Like my energy levels go like this. I can sprint really fast and go really hard for like 10 hours, and then the next day I'll be like, I'm dead. I need a nap. But in knowing so, I'll use my energy, knowing my own energy levels and productivity, I'll block it out and allow myself to take that rest and allow myself to calm down so that the next day I can come back up again. There's this saying that says, like, I can't remember the exact words for it, but it says, like, don't take on so much today where you can't recover tomorrow. I can't remember the exact saying, but so I time block, but I time block and I time box. There's two different things. So time boxing means that you do it by task, right? You do it by task and by the hour. So let's say you have the X to do and it'll take 30 minutes. You put it in your calendar, right? That's time boxing. Time blocking, think of it kind of like school. When you're in school, in primary school, you have like 2 hours dedicated to math only, and you'll do everything within that section to do math. And so I kind of use a combination of that too, where I say, okay, the beginning of my day is dedicated to event community content. And then I'll put all my time boxing in there so that my mind doesn't have to switch so much between the two. And I'll just focus on one subject at a time, if that helps. Does anyone do that? Does anyone kind of like block just like their mental focus for that? And then they'll go visit something later, and then maybe you like come back to it. That's kind of what I do. Yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on that? I kind of like spit out a whole bunch.
No, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. I find myself doing that only because I too don't like routine. I can't handle it. If I already know what tomorrow's gonna look like, most of the time I'm like, my life is boring. I can't do that.
Yeah.
I have to have an element of surprise almost.
Yeah.
But I do like timelines. I do like schedules, ironically. Whether I adhere to them fully is another question.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing, is you adhere to them. So it takes practice. It really does take practice. And I also allow myself breaks where it's like, if it doesn't work out, then I can put something new in there, or I can move it somewhere else. And so it's flexible. Again, there is no rules. You make your own rules on what works for you and what works with your energy, what works with your lifestyle. I know someone who literally wakes up at 4 a.m. 4 a.m. They do a couple hours of work, then they nap, then they have lunch, then they do a couple more hours of work, then they nap, then they lunch, and that's their life, you know? That works for them. That wouldn't work for me. You can catch me waking up at 4 a.m. Absolutely not. So yeah, I hope that helps. So so Patricia was talking about during an event, right? You're talking about how you're the main person and then everyone else is a runner, right? And you kind of wanted some advice on how to combat that. The first thing that I thought of when you mentioned that was this box that I learned in, I don't know if it was in business school or what. But there's this box, and like at the top right are like things that you handle, things only you can handle, and things that are a priority, right? And I'll have to find this box and send it to y'all later after this meeting. We'll find it and shoot it out to everyone, because nobody else will know what we're talking about if I just shoot it out randomly. But anyway, so the box is top priority, me only. Second box is less priority, someone else can do this. It's delegating. I think delegating comes a lot with trust. Like, you have to build trust with the people who you're helping. I mean, people who are helping you. It's all about maintaining that trust. And so I know you trust your husband, you know, maybe with like not the beautiful things that you want to handle, but there are things that he can handle. There are things that other people can handle, and it's getting them used to it so that they can do things on their own. And so anything that you can delegate it. Anything that has to be to you, keep it for yourself, but you have to learn to let go, or else you can't scale, or else you can't grow, you know?
Yeah, I think
You have thoughts?
I think that's part of my problem is that I think letting go. So I give him the obvious things that don't need, like, I'll pick the paint color, you paint them for me. Or as we're blowing up balloons, he'll help me because he wakes up at 4. So sometimes I'm blowing up balloons. He wakes up like between 4 and 5, depending if he wants to do he picks his overtime doing 30 minutes before he's supposed to go in. So sometimes he wakes up between like 4 and 5. So on Fridays, when I'm blowing up balloons for Saturday at 8, he's like burned out, and he'll be like, I'm falling asleep already. Go grab whatever balloons you need blown up and just leave them there, and I'll blow them up for, however long, whatever. And in the morning, I'll blow up some more. So certain things, yes, it's very easy for me to be like, okay, here. But when I'm on site is where I'm very like, no, move it like 1 inch to the left. And he's more like, hurry up. You're taking too long, stuff like that. Because I tell him, it's my fault because I say things out loud and then he just reminds me of what I said. So sometimes I tell him, if I'm doing too many extra balloons, tell me,
Not only do I time block my work, I time block my personal life too. I time block when it's shower time, because before I would be so crazy and like I would not take care. I time block my eating time. I time block everything to make sure I take care of myself too. So I think that's really important. Something that I struggle with like work-life balance, family, and everything is again finding time for everything, where I feel guilty, where I'm like, oh, I'm hanging out with my friends too much. I need to take time back into work. And something that I've been doing is, okay, you know what, every month I'll dedicate this many days until like my friends and family, and then that's a good amount. And then I set that moving forward and forward. Obviously there are some months that like there are extra celebrations and stuff, but you can't attend everything. So it's just making those priorities for yourself and sticking to those priorities. It comes a lot with just your, what is it called? Oh my gosh, I can't even think of the word because I'm so bad at it. Self-discipline. That's what it is. Your self-discipline. You have to practice it a lot. I mean, it took me 3 years, and I'm not perfect, but I'm a lot better at structuring my days, at having self-discipline, at prioritizing and sticking to those priorities. But it also takes love, self-love, like not being so hard on yourself when you do need a nap, or when you understand that like rest is important and stuff. And so, yeah, time block. That's all I have to say. Time block your life. Time block, time block, time block, time block. Like that's time management. Like it just takes practice, and I know it doesn't work for everyone, but it's a good place to start. I really do think it's a good place to start. Have you all tried time boxing or time blocking before? I know, Olivia, you were saying that you box your time sometimes. Do you do it for everything, or how does that work for you?
I know I'm doing it, but I didn't know it was called time blocking and time, So, but yes, I do. I definitely do, because I could, when I first started, I mean, I could be working 18 hours, just spinning my wheels just over and over, and then neglecting my family, neglecting my kids, my husband. My husband would say, you really need to find a time where you need to stop. And he was right. And it's like, but I got to get this done, but there's so much to do. But honestly, if you time block and, um, for your family, for your business, for your personal, you will be able to get everything done. And so I didn't even know I was doing that. And I know sometimes when I have a tendency, like when there's deadlines and I get really stressed out, I tend to get away from it and then just go do something fun, because I don't want to let myself get so stressed. And like what Patty was saying, with health and stuff, it could really, the stress and the anxiety or whatever can really, for me, damage me. So it's like I gotta go have fun for about an hour or two, and then really get back to, my whatever it is that I was, my project or whatever. But I gotta have my fun first so that I can really get, get to business. But I was doing time blocking without even knowing. And then of course there's days where it's like it's all a mess. It's all over the place.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah. Yeah.
That's cool. Something that I saw from a TED Talk, and again, we'll wrap this up because I know it's like way over time. But I just want to share real quick. When it comes to coming up with ideas, because obviously, like that's what we're in business for, is we come up with the ideas, we come up with creativity. How to come up with those ideas. So I'd love to hear how y'all come up with ideas. But I wanted to share this TED Talk first, this idea of letting your mind wander. So I get my best ideas in the shower, funny enough, like when I'm not thinking and when you're just letting your mind wander. And it's actually scientifically proven. When you just go for a walk, when you step into another room, when you go do something else, it allows your brain to have that basically free time and have the space to come up with ideas. And so that's how now I approach coming up with ideas. I'll go for a walk or go take a shower. Not take more than 2 showers a day, but if I need more ideas. But that's what I do. I just kind of step away for a moment and let my mind wander, and it'll come. Like it works. So last question I guess we'll do is, how do you all get past your creative blocks? How do you all come up with your ideas?
I feel like I'm in a creative block all the time. But I
Oh
also
no.
feel like I'm really hard on myself too. It's like, oh, I don't think that's a great idea. And then I dismiss it. And it's like, oh, because it's like, it's so easy to think, get yourself thinking, it's like, oh, because I have a fear of rejection. So it's like, oh, no one's going to like that. Or that's not, that's not a good idea. So, but I'm always feeling like I'm always in that writer's block or creative block. So yeah, I don't know how to get out of it.
Any advice? Any advice? Let's hear some advice.
I actually have advice.
Yay.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know if I've mentioned it. I don't know, it's such a mess entering this. I don't know if I mentioned it, but my business is the 84th hour, and I do stationery and signage for mostly weddings, but all events. And so I obviously have to come up with something new for every client because everything I do is custom. And I learned this little trick in college. I went to Woodbury University. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's an art school in Burbank.
Hmm.
And I minored in graphic design. I'm a graphic designer now because I ended up falling back on that. I majored in interior architecture, graduated and realized that's not what I even want to do for the rest of my life. So I fell back on my minor. And one of the best graphic design professors I had taught us this trick where, let's say you have to design a logo. You can apply it to anything, whether you do balloons or cakes or whatever. And the client tells you what they're looking for in a design brief, whether they're specific or not. What you're going to do is you're going to sketch out. It doesn't have to be 100 things, but let's say 50 things. You're going to sketch out really quickly in these tiny little boxes what immediately comes to mind visually when the client says, I want something blue and dinosaurs. You're going to sketch out what comes to mind in these tiny little boxes for like 50 of them. And then you know that you're not going to use any of those because they're cliche. They're what immediately comes to mind. And if you're wanting to do something different, then you're not going to use any of those. You just need to get them out of your brain and onto paper. And then from there, you can build something new. And you can think about why those images or those words or whatever you jotted down and sketched down came to mind, and then build on the foundation. But you're not going to use the immediate response you had, because typically that's what you've seen somewhere along the way, and so somebody's already done it. And so you're going to do something new by building on what you haven't come up with, if that helps any.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's a cool strategy.
That's a really cool show. I've never heard of that before. Do you really do 50? Like all 50?
In school, we had to do 100. So it was like, oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
It was a lot,
Hannah
but it
is like
actually really worked.
Wow.
That's
So-
a really, yeah. Go ahead, Kayla.
So would you say you have done that like for a good amount of like your clients, or yeah, and then also like a following up question is that like from that, like what is like the best like idea that's came out of that, like in your opinion? Like, oh my God, like I can't believe I came up with this.
Honestly, that's helped me a lot. I think now I don't even need to sketch or jot down the 50 boxes anymore. Like, it's just now how my brain operates because I've been working for myself for over 10 years. So that's just my process immediately. Like, I know that if it comes to mind, I don't have to sketch it down. If it comes to mind, I'm not using it. Like, if it's the first thing I'm thinking, I'm not using it. Like, I know that maybe I've seen something along the way or whatever. I don't want to do the same thing someone else has done. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I will just kind of like sit in a space. Ironically, my best ideas come when I'm sleeping. I don't know why, but I'm also not trying to knock it. So I will wake up, and maybe because I'm racking my brain all day, that like my brain finally has a moment to rest. And when I wake up, I'm like, oh my God, I know what to do.
Yeah.
And I will literally be like, no, nobody talk to me. I need to write this down. I need to write this down or I'm going to forget it. And it will be the perfect answer every single time. I never question it now.
Wow.
Actually, I knew one of my event planners who did that. She kept a notepad next to her bed because she would she would literally get her ideas, and she'd wake up, write down, then go back to sleep.
Yep. I literally do that.
You literally do that?
Yeah, I literally do that. Even, I mean, to be honest, even dreams that have nothing to do with work, I will jot it down and then figure out what that means later.
Is your subconscious like telling you?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
That's a great strategy. I'm so glad that you shared that with us. Like, I learned something new too. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Is there a specific name for that? Like, do you know what that strategy is called?
Nope, he just had us do that throughout the semester, and it was incredible how much, I mean, because when the class is given like a certain design brief, there's 50 of us in the class. We're all going to have the same thing if we all go with the first thing we think of. Do you know what I mean? We're all going to be producing the same thing. And when we had to do this exercise, it was incredible the range of takes on the same logo, the same client. They were all different. And it was because we all just kind of got rid of those same cliche ideas.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
I'm gonna try that because I'm opposite. So when I'm given kind of like the freedom, I know I want to do something different, then the time management portion comes in and I just put it off because I'm doing other things. By the time it comes down to like, okay, what am I actually gonna do? I feel like in that instance, I'm blank. I don't feel creative in that instance. Now it turns into
Pressure.
almost like, yeah, almost like an obligation of like, oh my God, how am I gonna pull this off now? So I literally will sit on Instagram and I'll just scroll. Nothing specific unless it's like maybe something that I'm like, oh well, how would you use this color? Like let's just say like emerald green, right? That's something that's maybe specific because if it's like pastels, you'll see a bunch of pastels in different themes and stuff. And emerald green, sometimes you're like, okay, well, maybe what if you don't want to pair it with gold? So then I start to, so sometimes I do look for, I'll just put like emerald green and I'll just scroll and see what starts catching my attention. Other times I don't. I'll just scroll. Sorry, my mom's answering machine is going on. I'll just scroll through Instagram and just sometimes it has nothing to do with what I'm planning. It's just things that caught my attention, like, oh, that's a cute, and then I'll go back and I'll be like, why did I even save this picture? I'll see like the smallest little whatever on a table and I'm like, oh, that's cute, and I'll save it. So I'm just scrolling, and saving all sorts of different pictures. When I finally get that out of my system, then I'll go back and look at them and I'm like, okay, what it has to catch my attention the second time. Because the first time it might have been the color that caught my attention. The second time, I mean, it might be just anything. So then I'll go back and look at everything that I saved and then I instantly sometimes will catch like, oh, I know exactly why I saved this picture. Then I start going back and forth and comparing of like this picture I saved of a backdrop and this picture, and then I'm like, okay, well, how would I change it up so it doesn't look like this? But what does suck is that sometimes I want to do things different, like you say, because sometimes there's a lot of repetitive stuff. And because of time management, sometimes for me it's like, oh, I'm not even gonna have time to order that. Or I'm not even gonna have time to whatever it is. And then it's another issue of sometimes it's not within their budget. So as much as you want to do something different, sometimes you end up doing something repetitive that you're just like, well, I guess, I mean, this is what they wanted. And then what Olivia was saying about sometimes you want to do something different and you feel a little insecure of what that result might be because of time management. You don't have the time to do it ahead of time and be like, oh yeah, that's gonna look fine. I end up doing things last minute and then I'm like, well, maybe I'm just not going to use that because now I'm feeling some type of way of like, what if it doesn't give what it's supposed to give the day of, you know? So
I actually think that
your way is, I want to try your way because
I suggest it definitely,
yeah,
but I get questioning your design and stuff, because it's almost like that level of being humble is what keeps you grounded. Like if you're like, oh, I'm the best at what I do, I think you get complacent in a weird way. Constantly being like, is this good? Is this like, are they gonna like this? Is what keeps you like trying harder.
Yeah, being trying to be better than your last self. I
Yeah,
try to tell my
definitely.
husband that.
I think
Yeah,
it's a
because
blessing and a curse to think like that. Obviously, blessing because like we're gonna always push ourselves to be the best, you know.
or to
Only in
do more.
competition with ourselves, you know, and learn, you know, learn new things and try new things. Like that's what makes us improve and grow. But it's also hurtful because then we're just too hard on ourselves. We have high expectations for ourselves. So just having a balance. These are all really great things, and I wish we can have all the time in the world to talk. But I hope you guys had, you know, a lot of your questions answered today. This is our first Zoom meeting, and so, I mean, what do you guys think? Would you guys like something like this once a month? I think we're gonna take feedback from today, and then change it up to make things improved, maybe provide a little bit more structure. But I would love to hear your feedback today. Like, what did you think of this call? Were there any questions that you wanted to continue on for the next time? Yeah, any thoughts or any questions that you didn't get answered today that you want for the next time?
Okay.
Anybody can shout out.
I think I want to expand on Olivia saying that she was unsure of her ideas, and then how or if and why to present that to a client.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
maybe
expand on being unsure of your ideas and how to express this to a client.
Yeah, because I think I've kind of figured that out. I've kind of figured that out for myself. And if Olivia wants to email me or call me, if you want to call me and talk about that, I think I might have a suggestion for you to help with that. But
Yeah, please connect with each other offline. Yes.
Great.
All right. Anything else? Any other feedback? Anything y'all would like to see for the next Zoom call? Clearly, we're going to make sure that we have the Zoom extended to the right amount of time so we don't have to hop back on a million times. It's okay. We're learning. But anything else? Yeah. Any other feedback? Hannah, feel free to send it in the chat.
I don't know.
this was great. I mean, I think for something that was like a first time deal, like I'm only speaking for myself. The weather makes me a hot mess, but yeah, I think this was great. Just to even put faces to names, because I think we all see each other on the Instagram chat and it's like, oh, I'd like to meet that person. You don't always get that opportunity.
Yeah, I agree.
I also agree, and I like it that, you know, I'm all about community, and Julia, this is your thing. It's like community. So putting that face, you know, to it, and you see everybody's face, it's just it's a whole different,
It is.
you know, it's a plus, you know, because a lot of
It's
us
a plus. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of us are just at home, and that's all you only see yourself in the mirror. That's about it. It's like my husband comes, it's like I need to speak to someone. I need to. I'm dying over here. You know, so this is great. Even when
Yeah.
someone would be awesome to put a face to, you know, whatever you're seeing, what you're seeing on Instagram. And you know, building a community and building friends, and not knowing that it's, for me, not, I'm sure for all of us, not competition, but friendship and helping each other out in whatever, you know, whatever we need, or ideas, or, you know, information. But
Yep.
yeah, I love it.
Good. I'm so glad that y'all had a great time. I feel like there's a million other things that we wanted to talk about, but I guess that's why we're going to have multiple of these, you know? I'm glad that we can keep it casual and just be real. I mean, that's what I wanted these conversations to be, is to be very, very real. Because Patricia was telling me, Patricia, I'm so sorry. Do you prefer Patty or do you prefer Patricia?
Patty, but every time I write my name somewhere, I always put Patricia.
Gotcha. But just like you bringing up to me that people don't want to talk about certain things or they want to gatekeep things, like that's not what community is. And so, yeah, I want the space to be kind of like a way for us to not gatekeep things and to share and to connect with each other offline to like talk even more, help each other out. Like that's what we're here for. So I'm totally
And I
glad
think like
that you enjoyed
for
this.
me, I have felt more comfortable in this Zoom than the times that I've gone to like networking events. I don't I'm I'm very talkative, as I mean, because we were on the phone forever, right? You like have to shut me up. But when I go somewhere, I I get this thing of like, I don't know, like sometimes I feel like I have to be talked to first because I'm more of a like observer, right? So there's been times where I go places and people just stick to themselves. And for someone like me, I can talk a lot, but I have to be sometimes approached or like I'll accidentally bump you, and be like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And sometimes I catch people's vibes just off of that, and I'm like, "Oh," they'll be like, "Oh, it's okay." And I'm like, "All right, like keep it moving then." And I have felt more comfortable in this Zoom than I have felt in a lot of places that were meant to network, and people just kind of um go to who they already know.
Mhm.
So if I show up somewhere by myself and there's already people, who are just keeping to themselves, sometimes that's harder for me because you're like the outsider. So it's sometimes, and I know that maybe it sounds petty, but sometimes it's like I sometimes feel insecure about asking those business questions in a group of girls who like they're already set in their ways, or they're already, yeah, basically they're already set in their ways or in their groups or and they might be the nicest people, but I tend to start feeling this like insecurity of asking those questions because they might be the type of people who don't want to share that information. You get me? So it's like,
I totally get you.
how do you find the people who do want to share, who are open to having that conversation with a random person like today, So I like how casual this was.
Good. I'm so glad that you felt comfortable. I'll answer that last question for you. Well, not question, but I have something to share, and that'll be the last thing because we'll officially end it after that. But I think for a very, very long time, I mean, it's been 3 years now, I wanted to pretend like I knew everything and I had everything figured out. And I purposely didn't go to networking events because it was freaking scary, like it is so intimidating. And as you can imagine, like, I mean, you're going to events with like other event professionals, which is fantastic. I think other event professionals are really friendly. I have to go to networking events with like scary, intimidating like investors, And so when I first went, I think my very first event ever, I was very shy and I didn't say very much. I was too afraid to ask questions because I didn't want to sound stupid or I didn't want to sound like a newbie. And that's very much how it is like in the startup world, where if you don't know your stuff, then it's like, well, you should already know that.
Mhm.
But going into LA Tech Week, I think I was at a point where I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be who I am. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be transparent and say I don't know these things, and that's why I'm here. That's what I want to know. And I'm gonna ask because you have nothing to lose. And if they don't like it or if they don't share, then that's fine. Then you go ask another person. And that has truly, truly transformed the relationships that I've built with people at networking events because networking is not as scary as it sounds. It's just, yeah, like making friendship, making relationships, and being transparent with like what you need, and not, there's no shame in that. There's no shame in being a beginner. There's no shame in not knowing things. And you'd be surprised at how many people are really open to share their knowledge with you. So I would highly advise everyone to just be transparent with what you need and ask questions. I know it's scary, but if you just kind of own that you don't know and be comfortable with not knowing, like you find a sense of peace, I guess, and you're able to do it. That's what worked for me. But anyways, I hope that helps, Patty.
Yeah.
We'll have more of these conversations and get more people on here so that we can share ideas and stuff. I'm really glad that this was a great first Zoom meeting. Again, last any last topics that y'all want to discuss for next time, go ahead and shoot it out now. Anything? And if not, you can shoot it out in the pro chat later. That's totally fine.
Administration.
Administration.
What'd you say?
Administration.
Administration? You got
Everything
it.
and anything about administration.
Okay. Anything?
I think any topic leads back to time
Yes.
management.
Okay.
The actual
Plenty
time
of time
management of all these things.
Okay. Andrea, Hannah, anything? Anything that you guys want to discuss for next time?
Administration would be cool. Yeah. Let's jump on that.
Administrative about administration, like, because it's such a broad term.
Everything.
I don't know. You know, let me just start from
I
number
think
one.
Number
maybe
1, 10, 20.
Yeah.
I think with the intention of if you're planning to build your business like actual structure, if it's a full-time, maybe like what kind of savings accounts you should have. Oh, remember we were talking about the van?
Mm-hmm.
Like how to save up for a van, taxes, things to avoid maybe with taxes, or someone maybe like advice maybe from someone who's really what's the word? Like what did I say earlier the word was?
Experienced?
Yeah. Yeah, and they have all those things.
Mhm.
Maybe like advice from them, like, you know, things to avoid, because, you know, you have to save up for your retirement, Social Security, all that stuff. Like, you don't think about that right now. Right now, you're just trying to pay your annual taxes. And do you have even enough to pay yourself out of that? I mean, a lot of us don't.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So like all
mostly,
that type of.
So what I have in mind for these Zoom conversations, we started out in our pro chat first, and still debating if this should be only continued for pros or should be opened up to the community in general. But we're sticking to our pros right now because obviously, like, we want to prioritize our pros. But in the future, I do see us having different guests, different experts come in to kind of give you those answers that you need, like a tax expert, someone from an actual tax accounting office who help small businesses to give that advice to you all, because those are the best people to hear from. I know specifically my tax people that I go to, they're so nice and they help with a ton of small businesses, which I literally don't even know their name. I don't know their tax name off the top of my head. But if you're curious about it, I'll send it over to you. They're down here in where are they? I think they're in Huntington Beach. If you're willing to come all the way to Huntington Beach for tax people, they're so nice and they save me like so much money. So yeah, message me
I
if you
think
want to.
Hannah had a little.
Oh yes,
comment.
Hannah. Let me open the chat really quickly. Kayla, do you have the chat open? Do you mind sharing it? What's she
Oh,
saying?
I was saying for the administration, I wasn't sure if everyone was talking about like software, like CRM software, that kind of thing. I don't know, but I honestly, for me, anything that you talk about, I think would be helpful. I think also just like kind of bouncing off everyone and hearing everyone's own take on everything and challenges and how you overcome them is just like helpful. So anything I think we'll all find beneficial. But what is, if you find the name of your tax people, can you let me know? Because I'm in Huntington. I wonder if
Oh,
it's the
yeah.
people I go to, or if it's someone different.
Okay, totally. I'll send it over to you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, cool. Okay, well, I guess that's it. If you guys come up with anything else, by all means, message the pro chat. Let everyone know what they missed out on today, you know?
So yeah, and also before we leave, I just want to quickly mention too, because we were talking about like networking opportunities and events, and I know like if you guys haven't RSVP to the our 3rd birthday, you should do so. There's gonna be like 20 plus vendors there. There's like a lot of different people you could talk to, and obviously like if you come alone, like just find either me or Julia, and we'll be happy to like show you around and introduce.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then but also before we leave too, I want to take a quick group picture, just
Yeah.
to memorize this first annual Zoom. So
Really
get
fix my
ready.
That's my cat.
Take a few, so you could pose if you want, but first one's gonna be smiling. Right, 1, 2, 3, cheese, and then different poses. All right, cute. You guys are so beautiful.
Awesome. All right, thank you all. I guess that concludes our meeting, but we'll chat next time and I'll see you at the event community's birthday.
Okay.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Nice meeting you all.
Nice
Nice
meeting you.
meeting you.
Bye.
Bye.